Well, good Saturday evening, everybody. Welcome in the studio. Chad Rosema here with you on just another premier Saturday night. Looking forward to the 10-pack that we've got dialed up. Still awaiting the temperature to rise, but it looks like that's going to come next week. Good news is we are playing yet again with a fast track and dry conditions, which is nice to see out there. What we are dealing with, however, is going to be some wind yet again. How that'll affect things, time will tell. But we've got a really good-looking program as I bring in my partner here, Randy Waples, on this Saturday card. And I mean, you know, it was a few weeks ago we were getting excited on these weekend programs, and that's just going to kind of be the continuation, I think, for the next several months as, you know, we start to get into the meat and potatoes of our meat. Before we know it, we'll be going 5 days a week as well. But as far as the track out there tonight, I mean, everything looks similar to last night.
Yeah.
The only real difference is wind has shifted somewhat. It's still a bit from the west, but it's more of a crosswind northwest tonight. Not sure how that's going to affect them.
Oh, okay, cool. Well,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, it's a dry track.
Yes.
You know, I mean, that's a good thing.
Did you check it out? Like, did you walk on it
yeah,
at all?
Well, I just walked up to it.
Okay.
You know, but it seems to be dry. Everything seems to be good to go. You know, it was a good track last night. The miles were okay. Say wind played a little bit of a factor. Might play a little bit with it tonight, but my goodness, you know, we got some horses that can get through that wind tonight, Chad. We got some power.
Yeah, last night, 10 races. The furthest anybody came from at 3/4 to win, and 2 of them did it, was 4th.
Yeah, well,
So
we knew
that's as far back.
Yeah.
You didn't necessarily have to be the one on the front.
No.
Because the front end certainly didn't hold up in every race.
Yeah, mid-pack.
Yeah, you just had to make sure you're close turning for home.
Seems like it.
Yeah,
Kinda
and
like
I think maybe 4th and 4 lengths behind was Gentrify, who I think might have been the furthest one back to end up winning.
Yeah.
last
Well, there's a
night in the
couple of
program.
races last night, too. We've seen it with Caviar and Crackers, right? A big early remove. These guys were onto it early. You know,
Yeah.
they were making removes early coming out of the first turn so that when they come to that last turn, even if they were stuck and even if they were in front, you know, they didn't take a whole lot to get them to that point, you know.
Yeah.
So really did see a bias, though, last night. If you did a lot of work early, it seemed like you paid for it.
Okay, all right. So, again, you know, playing on a pretty good track out there tonight, again, with dry conditions, which we look forward to. We've got a lot to dial up, a lot to get into. Waples, as per usual, has been sending in just a ton of replays. What do you just sit at home and just watch replays after
I think
replays
so. It
after
seems like it
replays?
is.
Man, we got to get you a hobby. Hey? Race number 1 is where we're going to begin our coverage here. We've got a group of 10 on the pace, good-looking group here to kick off the $75,000 guaranteed early pick 5. And right now, Poseidon Sealster, who will be preparing for next Friday's Kamloops Classic, heading there for, I think this is the 3rd consecutive year. I think he's got back-to-back third-place efforts in that race. So looking, he'll be a speedster, especially if he draws inside. So, you know, if you're his connections, what do you want to see here tonight?
You know, well, you want to see a good effort, really.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I used him in here tonight. I think that
He's the one to beat, isn't he?
Well, I think which way to the beach and him basically are, you know, moving out of that preferred status back down into,
Yep.
you know, these Saturday night specials. And I think both of them are going to like to drop down. He does have the inside post, but on this track, not necessarily the 2-hole is better than the 9-hole when you got a horse that can cook out of there like the 9-horse can. So I wouldn't say anybody has a big advantage in here right now. I think that Poseidon Sealster is going to come up with a big one. I think Which Way to the Beach is going to come up with a big one. The one that I'm kind of curious, Chad, is when do we start to see the best of the 8-horse Cold Creek Queso? This is getting closer and closer to him. He's a much deeper horse than what we're seeing just yet, but he seems to me that he's been improving quite a bit since his return to the races. So at some point, we're going to have to, you know, see just where Cold Creek Queso is right now. This is a former super final champion. This is a deep animal.
And he obviously needed his last start and raced in like a month.
And Jody goes to him this time.
Over a horse he's had a lot of
Right.
success with in Tyga Hanover.
In a barn that he's had a lot of
Exactly.
success as well.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So something
So-
you would have to think that at some point this 8-horse is going to be coming back into play.
And there is a chance that a race like this tonight could set up for him if he's close enough turning for home, because there are speedsters. If Nazare decides to leave, I think Which Way to the Beach goes goes for it. Poseidon's going to push off. Jack Panic's always in play. Maybe somebody else gets into the mix. This could get a little Western.
This could really get Western, couldn't it? Where'd you go?
I ended up going Which Way to the Beach. I think you and I ride together here, and we both like what we saw from him in his latest. And we're going to dial that replay up from May the 17th. It was the preferred. Now, he was 7th in there. Brew Hanover ended up being the winner. He doesn't have those types to beat. Now, both he and Poseidon Sealster, as you say, they're going to appreciate the drop down, but both of them would have been just fine in tonight's preferred that we've got later on, but they'll take this opportunity. I thought both of them raced well. They were not much separated, that pair. Poseidon was 6th. Which Way to the Beach was 7th, but I also thought that Which Way to the Beach had to kind of, duck through a little bit. Even on the end of it, you're going to see kind of a hard left coming from Travis Henry.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, that, where maybe Which Way to the Beach, I mean, that was 3 weeks between races for him. So this is 3 weeks, and then boom. He does this race here. Travis Henry gets along very well. Right from the very time he started driving this horse, he got along perfectly with him, right to the T. Not to say that he's a difficult animal to drive, but for whatever reason, Travis just seemed like they just melded right perfectly. So I think that he gets along very, very good with them. I think he knows what he's capable of. I'm going to go with him now that he's got that race under his belt, and a bit of a drop down to work with as well. I think a lot of things are pointing his way, but you can never discount a classy old horse like this 2-horse Poseidon Sealster. You got him in for second?
Yeah, I do, and another one you can't discount is Codename Cigar Box.
Another one.
Because he can all of a sudden, I think, just turn it around. Do you know what I mean? He's that type of horse.
And this 6-horse is racing so well now. Tiger Hanover, sooner or later, they were going to have to try him up a little bit higher, and tonight's the night, and they pick up Louis Waugh. So, not a bad, way to start the night off in that race. Deep race.
The best sire stakes program in the business is back in play here tonight at the gold level for the first time. We've got 3 races of the gold variety. A pair of them for the Pacing Colts we'll see later, but lone division for the 3-year-old Pacing Fillies in race number 2, and a lot of eyes will be on this one because you've got Chantilly putting her perfect record on the line again, fresh off of her SBOA stakes victory, where I'd have to look back, but I would say that is the closest margin of victory that she's ever had, half a length to Millie May Hanover. We're going to kind of have a look back at this, and yeah, that is the closest it's ever been. And it's funny, some people are quick to just want to try and pick apart the top, and it happens in every sport.
Sure it does.
Right? Try and nitpick and find faults and that.
For sure.
But
because they don't own her.
Yeah, but by all accounts, everything was just fine with her here.
Yeah, she's something. Were you a love connection or a dating game guy growing up? Didn't like either?
Not really, yeah.
Really? I like Chuck Woolery, so I used to watch Love Connection a bit.
Yeah. I would say one that I watch it would be that one.
Okay. Yeah. And the other one was Chuck Eubanks, I think, did it on Dating Game. But anyway, Randy went to the Love Connection tonight, and this is the first time that I got to get right up alongside of Chantilly. Before the races, me and producer Luke walked over there. And you were too busy doing your job. So I walked over there or whatever. And, Nikki introduced me to her. And, I mean, my goodness almighty. I mean, she is stunning, Chad. And the best part about the whole thing is, and I love the fact that Nikki said it to me. So I'm standing in front of her. I don't want to go in her stall and that. She's a strange horse, to me or whatever. So I'm standing there. And Nikki says, come on and look at her from behind. And then when you get in behind her, like her rear end is like, it's not, when you see it in person, it's not hard to believe that maybe she's just a little more special than other 2-year-old and 3-year-old fillies.
A lot of power back there.
There's a ton of power back there. Yeah. And it's the way that she's built and everything, just a stunning looking individual. And you want to know the truth, Chad? I think she's sharper this week than last start. So now I think that we're going to start to see the real Chantilly start to show up.
And I mean, we saw it last week there, in the backstretch. James could have continued to just motor on.
Yes.
He didn't. He ended up looping around.
Dropping back in.
Sealster, was that the one?
Yeah.
And then dropping in there, still under a tight hold, then, down the stretch. And then when he did kind of touch forks with Dougie in there, which, a little close for comfort, I'm sure, for both of them. But he said it was just as soon as that wind kind of hit her, it was a pretty stiff wind, more of a westerly wind than what we're going to see here tonight. But again, by all accounts, talking to James and Nick, they were happy, and it was a step in the right direction, right? To get your season.
That's the whole thing, I mean, we should all just keep our fingers crossed for her, because she could really light our sport up this year.
And that's what we love. We love ambassadors for her, right?
The same as what we've seen with Some Beach Somewhere and other great horses. It can just pump new life into the sport. So I hope everybody is on the Chantilly page.
Yeah, you were impressed with her. Is she impressed with you?
Not really.
No.
But something I've found that females are really not that impressed with me, Chad.
Yeah. No wonder you're on the dating game. Over to race number 3 we go. We've got claiming group here. Optional claiming tag, sorry, $50,000. It's a numbers of 9,000 last 5. Batter up Hanover scratch, and that was one you were going to be including into there. B. Stoney joins the Maneri barn again off of that 48-4 win. Pretty impressive. We don't often see 40 claimers going that, but one thing we will say, that's a mark he's got on his record. Congratulations to him. He looked sharp doing it, but it was a very fast night out there. It was warm and the track was tip top. We had another winner going 49-3 or 49-2 that night too.
Yeah. Well, he was incredibly good,
Yes,
no
he
doubt
was.
about that. And I don't know if I would have put him on top if he'd have come right back, because that was a big mile. So now, it seems like he's maybe missed a few days in the rotation, and I think that that's only going to make him even stronger and better. He's kind of an older horse, he's probably got some aches and pains. Go out and set a new lifetime mark and then have to come right back 7 days later and hit the wars again, So I think that this is going to work into his wheelhouse, especially given the fact that the horse that I think is second best in this race also has the same stale date, and that's Head Honcho from the rail. So let's take a look at the replays on these two horses. Which one are we doing first, producer Luke? B. Stoney?
Yeah, B. Stoney.
B. Stoney.
We're going to go May 12th. Okay, so we're going the second one.
April the 14th, I think, for the B. Stoney one, Luke? Yeah, okay, so this is the only time Maneri's had him in his barn. So let's go back to April 14th and look how he looked in Dave Maneri's barn then. Now he's finally got him back again. So let's take a look at him in here. Again, had the outside, had the 9-hole, went right to the front, big first quarter. 3 quarters in 1:22-4, so a middle half in 56 seconds there. Didn't really slow down and was still able to get the job done by a half a length in 51-2 for James McDonald and Dave Maneri. And now that combination coming right back again. And look at the way James is. He's got Bobby hemmed on the inside. He's, Dougie's not a threat to him, and he knows it. He knows he's got Dougie where he wants him. It was Bobby that was bothering him. I think that if he opens him up and lets Bobby out, something could have happened. Maybe Bobby would have picked him off, or maybe he wouldn't have. I don't know. But either way, the horse could have won by a lot more. But the other one, May the 12th, Head Honcho, Cliff McGuire. Tell me a little bit about Cliff McGuire, Chad. I didn't drive much for him. He looks like Bell River, Windsor area, down that way or whatever. But my goodness, when he brings horses here, you got to take a second look.
Well, we just recently talked about him and JF McGuire. We see more from JF than we do Clifford here. But when they do bring horses here, we respect them. They just seem to do well, and very well in the claiming game. And, Head Honcho got, Lenny Lalonde Jr. got him going again.
Yeah.
Joey Squires had a little success with him, but nothing like Clifford McGuire's been able to do with him. I mean, he's got this guy, to me, and I know, in 3 starts, it's been just 1 win, but 2 runner-up. But I mean, from a time perspective and how he's looked, he's turned him around.
Yeah, now, if I'm not mistaken, is he not the one that originally, was it Alvin Hamilton that came out with him? So, he has always showed the talent to be a good horse. Maybe there's been some issues, soundness issues, because you can see on the bottom, at one time he was racing in a 9,000 claimer, And is that not really one of the big things that I've noticed anyway about Cliff McGuire? When he gets a horse that's got maybe a bit of problems soundness-wise and stuff like that, he gets a ton out of them. That's what I've always found with the guy anyway.
That's what Lenny Lalonde Jr. can do.
Another one as well, yeah. But even Lenny, never had him up to this level. We're looking at an optional 50 claimer, and I'm still using him coming up to this level.
Yeah, if Head Honcho stays in the form he's in right now, there's no way he does not improve off that lifetime mark of 51-4.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah, so we got a couple of horses that are really
I think
showing
Uncle
great
Shank,
form.
though, is going to be a big player here again tonight.
And what
I
about
really do.
PL Ozzie? Did you throw him in the mix?
I didn't. I know he's back on short rest. He was able to win. It was a pretty soft bunch that he beat, but he won nonetheless. And Louis sticks with him over a couple others.
Yeah, I threw him in for 3rd.
Okay. That's race number 3. Over to the 4th race, starting our pick 6, which will get a little more attention tonight because we do have a carryover from last night's program. Over $6,000 it carries over into that pick 6 wager. So all the best if you're going to play along. A group of 9 on the pace. It's the same class we just saw in race number 3, just split up. What did we have in there? 8, well, 7 now, but now this is 9 in here. Order 1 to go. Got James in the bike last time. Louis fits him pretty well, was able to get the win 2 starts ago, but I thought he raced great from the 10-hole in his latest. But I am going to try to beat him.
Oh, where are you going?
I'm going to go Major Fernco.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got him in for a part of this. What do you like about Fernco? The bride, the change, the barn change?
I mean, I just hope that Gary can keep him as good as he's been.
Right.
You know, Paul Court's done a nice job on him. He's a real good-looking horse out there all the time. Even that last start, he was third. But, again, it was a 48-4 winning B Stoney, you know, in that spot. I think he, you know, still continued to race well against some good company. I think Major Fernco going to Gary Murner can come back and find the winner's circle
I think
again.
you can get a bit of price on him tonight, too.
Think so?
Yeah, I think so, because I think the horse
get
that
some
I like,
play.
the horse that I like in here, Order One to Go. That's the replay that we're going to show you in this race. You know, he had the 10 hole like you were talking about, and James got along very, very well, coming back for Corey Giles with this guy. So he's going to be my top pick. But I think that Century Inspector is going to take a lot of the support in here. You know what I mean? Like you know what you're getting with Century Inspector right now. There's a pretty good chance Jody's going to hum him out of there, put him up on front, and whether he's going to last or not. He's a nice kind of a horse. He's raced into this optional 50
Nice
before.
buy for Dan Serafian.
Yeah, and you know, he's raced in this class and, you know, didn't win, but was successful. Like, you know, put up good efforts in this class. So he's got good form, great confidence right now. So I think he's going to be a big part of this as well. But Order One to Go. Here comes James with this guy for Corey Giles. He's not going to be any kind of a threat to Blue Hunt, but he shouldn't have been. They're two different kind of horses.
Blue Hunt's
you know?
got it going right now, too.
Right, exactly.
Back-to-back wins.
Right, but they're two different horses. You
Yeah.
know, Order One to Go, like, I mean, you're looking more or less at a claimer kind of a situation here. Blue Hunt, you know, he can play that Saturday night special up and down the class ladder if you want to. So I didn't expect him to give any kind of a serious threat to Travis's horse, but I do think that he looks really, really good in here. And how Mac Victor going on the Lasix program, that's kind of interesting too, and going to Kyle Fellows.
Yeah, the intriguing one to me is HP Liz Shadow. We know what he's capable of. He's missed some time due to some sickness, just getting back to work, but it's Barrington Henry. I know it's a tough draw, but if he puts him into play, I think that signals that he's all right.
And we looked at that replay last night with Larry Carr and Sylvia Hanover in there, you know, so he had some pretty tough horses in that qualifier.
Yeah, and Larry Carr came back qualified this morning, I think in like 51 in a piece.
Ooh, he's ready.
Yeah, he is. Race number 5 is where we head to next for the 5-year-old and younger pacers that are numbers of 18,000 lifetime. Ontario Sired get a little more money to play with. We've got a group of 10 in here. Lukewarm morning line favorite is the 4 reigning captain. I mean, yeah, I think you got to respect him for the last couple of efforts.
You weren't surprised that Bob went to Xander?
Over reigning captain? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's just, you know, it's more opportunity for him with Gary Murner.
I mean, yeah, maybe,
right?
maybe. Yeah,
You know,
I guess so. I
Zach
was a little
has a
shocked.
couple that race here.
Yeah, his choice really mixed me up in this race, I
Okay.
found. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm looking at Xander one way, and I'm looking at reigning captain a completely different way, you know what I mean? And I was just shocked that he didn't stick with reigning captain.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, sometimes we see that and we read too much into it sometimes too, right?
Been in the same situation myself.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, it happens.
Sometimes you probably have tough decisions to make.
Yeah, sometimes you do, you know.
Very
And sometimes
tough.
it's not always the horse. It's not always the horse. Sometimes it's the connections, too.
So who do you want to look at here? Because I know you were talking about, you know, McNair last night won with Play Pal coming in from, was he winning at Flamborough? I think it was Flamborough.
I think so.
Yeah,
But his
and
barn's
came here
good.
and looked sharp. His barn's been good.
Very
Last
good.
weekend, started going, but SOS Sports Bet back after a try at the Raceway in London, a good second there, but coming in here with good form.
So let's take a look. 2 down on
Yep.
SOS Sports Bet. That's going to be April the 25th, his last time that he raced here. Now, the first time that he raced here, he went to London, obviously, off the qualifier. But the first time, April the 19th here, had the 10-hole. Dougie wailed out of there with him. 27 flat from the 10-hole and never, that was Trevor, I'm sorry, Trevor Henry, never was really able to shake loose after that. Seemed to me like he had lots to go. Comes back 6 days later and is an easy winner here you're going to see for Dougie. I thought he controlled everything and you know, he's in against Xander. He's in against Ideal Beachwear, horses that are on my watch list, you would call it. And then he goes back to London the last week and again comes up with a nice effort in there, finishing second there. So I think that his form is good. He's ready to go, and I'm going to take a chance and put him up on top in this race. Now, I really do like a couple of horses in here. I think that Reigning Captain is a pretty nice horse. I think Charlie's Wish for coming out of the Chantal Mitchell's barn, 4-year-old with a lot of speed as well. I like him in here as well. And, you know, I had to throw Xander in amongst these, Chad, because I just don't know really why Bob went there. His form is good, but, you know, is he really that much deeper than Reigning Captain? The one that I didn't use that is really, really killing me is the 8-horse Volcanic. Really tried to work him in there too. The other McNair horse couldn't
right?
do it.
Yeah, undefeated. I mean, we know that, you know, we're racing here in January, February, a bit different than it is maybe this time of year, but this also isn't a group that I don't think he's not going to be able to fit against.
Yeah, no, I think so, yeah. And the barn is just so good right now.
Yeah, and that SOS Sports Bet, he was second in London, as you talked about, was a good effort. The horse that beat him, Silver Walls, this is another one. Greg Blanchard was talking about this horse because Dale Hunter, as we know, part of the Crack Shot,
Right.
ownership group. And good luck to Dale and his London Knights. They kick off their first game tonight in the Memorial Cup. But he owns this horse, Silver Walls, all by himself. Dennis Morrissey trains.
Nice.
And this horse is 5 for 5 this year.
And this horse actually made ground up on him.
Yeah.
If you look at the
Yeah.
line, you know what I mean? He finished second by a half, but he was a length and 3/4 out at the head of the lane. So he actually makes up a little ground on this horse. And I like him in here. Like I said, I like the way that he raced April the 25th. Did we show that replay yet? For him. Okay, so April the 25th. Like I said, I thought it was a good effort. He made a big move the week before from the 10 hole. This time, Dougie had the rail with him. Just kind of like let him saunter out of there, do his own thing and then remove. And now what I like about him too is with Dougie over in Sweden, we pick up Trevor Henry. Trevor's already drove this horse, already got along very, very well with this horse, and I think that Trevor's going to be in the winner's circle a lot in the next little bit because he's one of those kinds of guys that I think he's going to be sticking close to home in the next little bit when some of these other drivers are doing stake traveling. I think he's going to start to win himself a lot of races.
Yeah, I never go in Charlie's Wish. He just fits this class.
I like this horse.
An inside draw. He's got the ability. This one here, Trip's going to be so dependent, I think, on who ends up coming up with the top effort. We're going to go over to our first gold of the night in race number 6, which does start the late pick 5. This is split into 2 divisions, 90,000 up for grabs. Pretty good money, especially when it's split up for these Thrill Colts and Geldings on the pace. We've got a group of 8 in here. Who stands out to you on this page just when you read the name?
Boxer Sealster.
Okay.
That's the one that comes to the first thing that jumps to my name. Now, I don't know anything about this 2 horse. Did you throw him into the mix, this Fubar Bundy?
No, I just know that, he was favored in that sophomore debut for him out of Fraser Downs. It was another all bets off that ended up beating him in that race, but that's the first time he's ever suffered a defeat. But I wouldn't be too hard on him. It was your first start of the year. Still went a pretty good mile. He showed a lot of talent last year. Now tonight comes here to Tony Beaton. James McDonald's going to drive. But I am curious to see how he stacks up.
I'm going to throw him in for the mix because I'm curious. This is where I got him. Okay, so now I'm thinking you're going Boxer Sealster.
I am. I like him. We actually have a replay from Boxer Sealster.
Let's see that one.
Yeah, from May 17th. We'll just move it around a bit here on the script. But yeah, Boxer Sealster in that SBOA final. So we're probably going to see this race a couple of times because I think we're probably showing it for Crack Shot later,
right?
If I'm not mistaken. So Crack Shot's the one winning this race, but look at James and the hold he has got. He had a really strong hold down along the inside, driving Boxer Sealster in this event. Sterling Choice gets to the outside. He ends up holding second. James is still at this point trying to find a way to get to the outside. Finally, to an opportunity where he can show him some air. Now, in this spot, would I have typically liked to have seen him pass, let's say, a horse like Sterling Choice? Yeah, sure. But Sterling Choice is also a great colt. And he fought on and held on. I still thought it was a good effort from Boxer Sealster. And, that strong hold sometimes can rob you of some momentum.
Oh, yes.
When you're down on that inside like that. And maybe he was just lacked maybe a little bit of that. Maybe he lacked a little air. Who knows? But I think he'll be better here tonight off of that effort. I really liked what I saw from him.
That was a good eye on your part because I think that maybe was why he was a little bit dull when he got up alongside of Sterling Choice was because James had such a big hold of him.
Had to,
When he got him out, he went from this to kind of this. And sometimes it takes him a bit to kind of get going, especially when they're young. An older horse can sometimes, just automatically just click right back into gear. Young horses, so be it. And that was his first, first big test, big start of the year. So I think all systems are great for Boxer Sealster. But let's show the replay on the 6 horse in here, Quintus Hanover. Now, you talk about a barn that's really starting to, get hot, heat up, is the Justin Turcotte stable really starting to come out. And I like the way that this guy raced as well. We know we're dealing with a Better's Delight colt here out of a Dragon Again mare. And anybody knows me knows I love this combination. So this guy not going to get the job done. Captain Hurley's going to be the winner in here, but I love the way that he raced on the end of it. I think he's really starting to show big improvement in his last halves and his last quarters. Each time that they race him, he gets a little bit stronger, and I get McClure back. And Bobby's the one that raced him here. He is kind of starting to, chase him a little bit, but he's a Better's Delight. Sometimes you got to chase him a little bit more, but he keeps coming forward, and on the run out, he is looking real good on this run out when we see it, So I think that that's the way I'm going to go, simply because I really think that of all the horses in here, he gives me the best chance at getting the job done and getting a price too, because I do not see him going off as favorite or anywhere close to it in this race with this group in here.
I think the big improvement with the Quintus Hanover so far this year has been his gait.
Yeah.
He struggled with that at times last year, whether it was that he was just, a little immature, or was it that he was just too quick for, for the body, whatever it may be, because he can pace for a piece, that's for sure.
He's fast.
So that's the first gold of the night for the Thrill Colton Gelding Pacers. We're going to go over to the preferred in race number 7. Now, this year it's a different looking group, good group.
Yes.
But evenly matched,
Very.
right? I mean, when you take out of the equation the Irvin Hanovers, the Brew Hanovers, and maybe some others, you're still left with a talented group, and they get an opportunity to go for $36,000. And this, to me, top to bottom, looks like one where they're going to be racing.
Yeah, I think so too, because the way that they drew out too.
Yeah.
I mean, there seems to be power in every position, to get things going. I'm going to go Jabberwocky on the outside. He's getting a shoe and change tonight from the Zed. Ricky's going to go steel to aluminum in front. That's good enough for me right there. I think he's a pretty quality kind of a horse. I know he's got the outside, but he can race him different ways, Trevor. He can race him up close to the front. He can race him first over. He can race him from off the pace. Really, this horse has no weaknesses other than the fact that once in a while, he just seems like he's, kind of not into it, and other times he's into it big time. So let's take a look at his last race, May the 10th replay, where he ends up finishing 4th, spent a lot of time on the outside, but isn't able to get the job done, but only gets beat a length in here. So I think he's coming into this race really, really good. He's going to be my top pick over Tarasi. But what about the 5 horse? Did you give him a look? Because I looked at him, but I didn't use him.
Yeah.
But interesting horse.
Yeah, I don't want to get sucked in on the mile, especially that 1-2 back, because the Meadowlands is wickedly fast.
Yes.
It's a wickedly fast strip, and he won a 48-3. But he's coming in hot. High percentage trainer Robert Clear
very
was
high
training him. Now Vic Putty gets him. They bought him on Preferred Equine for $75,000 US. So this is going to be their first start for Soaring Now here. And, welcome addition, I'm sure, to the circuit. Could see him right off the bat being a major player. I mean, if he just stays the way he's been, I think he's going to be good in here. But this really is kind of a step up from the classes he's been in. South of the border. So, time is one thing, but, a lot of times we say, too, it's class you're facing.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
But he's got a good draw. He intrigues me. Tarasi in here. Tyler Jones has picked up a horse that I think is coming in good form. You've got Blue Hunt that's been racing really well in this spot, too. I ultimately went Century Komodo.
Yeah, interesting choice on you. Now, it didn't give you any thoughts whatsoever that James went against him.
Nope.
No, good for you. Good for you.
No, I'm fine with that.
See, my thing is I'm thinking that James thinking is that this time is on my side is a lot deeper than I'm thinking right now. I got him in for 4th on James.
I think he is a nice horse. Yeah, I think he is a nice horse, but he's got the graduate. If they go to it, he's eligible to it next Saturday here. And maybe that's part of the reason for the thinking. But Century Komodo, to me, I'm just going to give him a pass at the Juravinsky elimination. Didn't work for him. He'd been racing too well prior. I think Bob can give him a trip. And Bob's, if anybody's driving better than Bob, just show me who it is lately.
Yeah, and I agree with you, too, because I'm using a horse later on that I'm going to forgive him for the Juravinsky. Just didn't work out for some of them that night.
Okay, how about race number 8? Let's have a look at this group of Pacers. Winners of 3, but not more than 6. or $80,000 lifetime. Speaking of the graduate, we've got the 2 Storm Shadow and the 6 A-Class Yankee. They're both eligible to it. They're local horses, so I would think that, that would be why A-Class Yankee's getting back to work now. Storm Shadow getting an opportunity as well. Then you have NA Cup eligible, Bourbon County. First time we're going to see him here.
Qualified amazingly well.
He and the 8II Captain Day are both eligible to the Sun Beach Somewhere, which if they decide to enter is next Saturday in a stakes-filled program. Where'd you go?
I went to the 2-horse Storm Shadow,
Okay.
the horse
I'm
that,
with you.
the Juravinsky, I'm willing to give him a pass on that last line. And the replay that I'd like to show is the April 26 graduate. I think it's a better, this is his first start back off of a layoff. He's in against some deep horses. Komodo's in there, Chain Gang's in there, Fun Time Bayama's in there. I thought that this was a really good test for him. Now, since then, he's had another, this was the Ontario Graduate. So the Ontario Graduate Final, when that comes up, he ends up finishing good in there. Again, 4th, only beaten 2, last quarter 26-1. And then things just kind of take a bad stage for him over at Flamborough. So I'm willing to forgive these ones. I like the way that he's racing right now. And you want to talk about a guy whose barn I think is really starting to heat up as well as Doc Moore. I think his horses are really starting to get a lot better as well. So Storm Shadow, I think this is maybe a little bit of a drop down for Storm Shadow, and that's the way I'm going to go, and you say you like him too.
Yeah, and an opportunity for him to get away from stakes action.
Yeah.
Briefly, right? Likely back into the stakes next week. I know it's still a deep enough group, but I think he can be a top player. And here, Bourbon County, I'm curious to see what he can offer here tonight. But, Doc Moore, one thing about him too, even if his horses are racing well, he's still always looking for them to improve.
Yeah.
He always wants to make them better. So, I'm sure he's just continuing to see what can he do to make Storm Shadow better. So I expect him to be better here tonight. Let's go to the other division for the OSS Gold, 3-year-old Colton Gelding Pacers, race number 9. To kick off that late double, here's where you've got the undefeated so far this season, Crack Shot. After capturing last week's Espy away. We already saw that replay, but we're going to kind of get a look at it again just to see how he performed. Ended up coming away with a lifetime mark of 151, much to the delight of the connections in there. And, we've talked about it. I talked about it with Greg last week, too. He looks like a little sports car because there's not much to him, but he's athletic and he's still well built. But there's other horses on the track that are bigger than him, but he gets over the track just fine.
And he's tough.
Yep,
he's got
tough.
that in too. Because even this race here, he was parked at the half in 54, second start back, and look at him here. Dougie shut down. He's not asking him to go.
Never came out on him.
Never came out. The lines. He's not. The whip has never left his shoulder. He's never done anything. He's never asked him to go. This horse just won that race that way, all on his own, and definitely going to be my top pick in this race. Stonebridge Wizard, I threw him in for second. Interested to see how he's going to come back after that big year. I'll tell you, when I watched this horse raced in the Battle of Waterloo and watched the trip that he got, I thought, and he ended up winning it, I thought we wouldn't see this horse again for the rest of the year. 2 starts later, he's back in the winner's circle again. I mean, this is a tough colt. It'll be interesting to see if he's filled out and gotten any bigger over the year. I read an interview with Jared Bako where he basically said he filled out a little bit, but didn't really grow a whole lot bigger. But boy, talk about some toughness too. Stonebridge Wizard. Going to be interesting to see him and Travis Cullen picking him up and going on the Lasix program.
All right, that's race 9, the second gold. Race number 10 to close things out on this busy Saturday. Jackpot High Five finale. And if it doesn't go tonight, we're probably looking at the neighborhood of 300,000. Carry over money. We're at 283 coming into tonight. A field of 10. Living the beach life at the nominators of 6,000 last 5. Looks like he stacks up pretty well, and he's had to chase the likes of Century Inspector in that pop-up. I thought he raced well against him in both those outings, and Century Inspector looked pretty good in here, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would look really, really good in here. So let's take a look at Living the Beach Life. Tyler Borth for Victor Putty. Tyler's driven this guy his last 3 starts and has yet to miss a check with him. And he's got some, still moving forward here. So looking good, I thought, anyway. It wasn't a bad effort for him. He keeps making ground up. He brings a lot of back class here. 27 victories, $481,000 put away, and he is going to be my top pick in this race tonight. Wasn't able to get the best of Century Inspector or Larceny last week, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm not looking at maybe just a little bit of a drop down from some of the ones that he has been taking on in his last, say, 6 starts or whatever. So I'm going to go with him, even from the 9 hole, knowing full well that Tyler's got different ways that he can race him if he wants to.
Yeah.
You?
I think he gets sent, and I'd love to see my top play, Pipe Wrench Charlie, leave out of there enough to be able to follow him.
Well, he can leave.
Right? Yeah, and I'm going to go with him to he's not going to be a massive price, but maybe he can upend the expected favorite and live in the beach life. Okay, that's a look at the 10-race program that we've got. We'll talk obviously in depth throughout the night. We've got Randy's early pick 5 to tee up here. Just one single on the early tonight for you.
Couldn't find
That's the
anymore.
obvious one.
Couldn't find anymore, but yeah, I did find that one.
This one obviously a tricky sequence then.
Yeah, it is. It does. I got a couple of singles in the next sequence, the late pick 5, but this one here was tough for me. So 2, 6, 8, and 9 is going to be my top. I'm going to try to get this one down. You can go a lot of different ways, and I'm not using a lot of horses that I would like to use in here, but got to keep it cost effective, right? And then race 2 is going to be a single for Chantilly. Race number 3, I'm going to go 1 and 8 in here. I'm going to go head honcho, and B Stoney's going to be my top pick. Race 4, 3, 6, and 7, that's going to be Major Fernco. Order 1 to go is going to be my top pick, and Century Inspector in there as well. And then in race 5, I'm going to use all my selections in this one. I think it can go a lot of ways this race, but I'm going to go 2, 3, 4, and 7. My top pick is going to be SOS Sports Bet.
Okay, all right, that's a look
See
at
right on the
Randy's
wire.
early
Ding.
pick 5. That's, well trained. Hey, well trained. You listen better here than you did in school. Huh?
You're right.
That's the way it is.
Yeah.
How about we talk about the qualifiers? Because of the poor weather that we had Thursday carrying into Friday, they ended up pushing the qualifiers to Saturday. So they were earlier this morning, and there were some more big names out there, mainly from the Luke Blais outfit, and that's going to be where we kind of profile things right off the bat here. Cutting the mile is Tyler Jones with Lasting Dream, who was putting in another preparation as she readies for her 3-year-old season. But it was the stablemate Emoticon Legacy with, I want to say this was his 3rd qualifier so far, but another winning one up in time in 57. And I'm not sure if he'll get a race into him next week prior to the good times. I think that's probably his first test here.
They did a great job, the pair of them, but I'll tell you something, though. Luke Blais, like those things, they just trot 1, 2, 3, 4. Great,
Yeah.
You don't necessarily see too many bad-gated Blais horses on the track.
Well, Blais was back at it in qualifier number 7. This time it was Drawn Impression over the other 4-year-old Mary Moji Hanover. Drawn Impression cutting it. She was able to outsprint the stablemate Emoji Hanover. Also in here's Willie's Home Run. She ends up being 3rd, but again, you're probably going to see a pair of them that are trotting just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. They all look good in here. It's nice to see Willie, too, get a nice little kind of a quiet trip down in on
just
the
kept her on the
bottom.
helmet. Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it looks really good. All 3 of those horses look really good in there.
Yeah, we're not going to have a visual for it. You can look back online if you'd like, but Larry Carr's mentioned he won qualifier 8, 51-3. It was a big effort this morning. And then the final qualifying event of the day, it was Private Access. We're waiting to see this guy unveiled too for his 4. I think he is graduate eligible.
He
so
looks like he's grew a little.
Looks like he'll go off of this qualifier into the graduate next Saturday. 55-1, home in 27-3. And again, it was a cool morning. It was a windy morning. I think that's 53 type all day long, I think.
He's filled out, this guy. He
Yeah.
is. He's a bigger horse this year, I think, than last year. Boy, he looks good.
Yeah, really good.
He does so.
Really good. So that was the qualifying report this morning. The one that was second to Private Access there, Quebec Hanover, holding on as he's trying to, right the ship after some breaking efforts in there. Pemberton also, with his second qualifying effort, was 4th in that event. We've got, of course, a lot of eyes, we talked about it earlier, are going to be on race number 2 tonight, and that is the OSS Gold for the 3-year-old filly Pacers. Chantilly back in action. We always touch on this. We're not here to say we're going to take the 210 win price. Mm-hmm. It's because we just love seeing superstars in sports, and they help promote it, and they're ambassadors, and that's just her. And there she is.
In all her glory.
Yeah, this was earlier tonight, right? Our producer Luke able to get some great footage.
That's the 2 C's.
Her.
That's Chantilly on the cross ties, and the 2-year-old filly beside her looking after her, that's Candace.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Got to meet both of them there. But Chantilly, like I said, a lot of people are looking at her right now thinking, get in behind her. get in behind her and take a look at her from that way. Boy, I'll tell you, she is impressive. Just absolutely I got my fingers crossed.
There's
and
the guy
chills.
that gets the best seat in the house.
He is, and boy, you talk to him, I'll tell you, does he ever get bubbly around her, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he's driven a lot of great horses.
A lot of great horses,
right?
yeah,
But yeah,
for sure.
tough not to get excited. But I mean, for everybody, I mean, Nick's trained some other great mares.
No, absolutely.
Even, right? It's
What about
great
those
horses, and he's obviously excited, and that. And then George Millar's been in this game for a long, long time, and he's had a lot of really good horses too. But
What a great field story for George Millar.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, nice to see him here last week.
yeah.
Not sure if he's in attendance tonight
Yeah,
for
not
the gold
sure
or
either,
not.
but best of luck, George.
But yeah, always nice when he happens to come out on the track. So we've got all of this action tonight, but then tomorrow you can get yourself up early enough. You can get up real early if you want to start the card at Solvala. But Logan Park, you're not going to see his elimination until about 9:28 Eastern. That is race number 6 on their program. I believe race 11 is the final. We wish him all the best. Top 4 are going to advance. Hopefully he can do his part and get there. And then, around noonish is going to be that final of the Elite Lot. But that was him arriving. He's got a lot of supporters there for him. He's got the entire country behind him. All of us here, of course, trying to become the first Canadian entry in 33 years.
Last one would be Billy Joe.
Billy Joe Jim Bob.
Yep.
And then it was 23 prior to that, I think, or 22 with Joe O'Brien. Ended up winning it in 69, I think it was. He was the
Fresh
first.
Yankee?
Was that the name? Yeah, I don't have it
I
up right now.
I'm not 100% sure on that one. That was a little bit before my time, my friend. What I just noticed from that shot there that Luke put out there?
Yeah.
I swear I just saw a Volvo SUV pulling a truck and pulling a trailer.
Oh.
Hey, how beautiful is that? You're not going to see that over here too much,
No. So and so 9:28 Eastern. You can watch and wager on HPIBet.com. We're all going to be rooting for Logan Park, wishing him and his entire connections all the best. I saw Doug McNair online today, was getting interviewed there at Solvala. I know our own Mark McKelvey is down there taking in the action. What a great thrill. Do you ever have a chance to go for the Elite Lot?
No, never been.
You ever
over
been to
there.
that track? Oh, you never been
there.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
That's a very long plane flight, Chad.
Yeah.
Now, if they had to send me by boat, maybe.
Yeah, or bike.
Yeah, anything but plane flight.
Yeah.
I went to France one time there. You know that little plane that goes in front of your seat there or whatever? I swear, I was ready to smash it. It never went anywhere. It just stayed in the middle of the ocean. I'm waiting to get off this plane.
Yeah.
Not me. Not my thing.
Randy, not much of a flyer.
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm gathering by this. Not much of a flyer. Yeah. Yet he flies on the 401 driving home. Believe me. Okay, plays of the night. Here you go. You've got those are good draws to work from. That's for sure. That's our best post.
Yes. Okay. So we got. It's going to start off in race number 4. That's going to be Beat the Favorite, and that's going to be Order 1 to go for Corey Giles. In race number. Where do we go from there? Race number 6. That's going to be Aquinas Hanover. That's going to be my Worth Elect Waples watch coming along in the next race, race 7, with Jabberwocky, and then my all-in race number 8 with Storm Shadow. I got quite a little pick 3 going there, Chad.
Okay, what do I have? My lineup, I've got Which Way to the Beach right off the bat here, 6-1, Beat the Fave. I figure Poseidon will be the choice. I'm all in a Boxer Sealster. Hopefully Trevor can get the right trip from the 8-hole. And then Century Komodo, the upset in the preferred, and Storm Shadow. I've got him as a play. I'll label him as a rebounder to get back on track here against non-stakes.
I think you're going to get good prices with all your picks in there. Maybe not as much with Boxer. He could go off his favorite, but the rest of them, I think you're going to get good money.
Don't mind what GB's got. A Major Fern Co. Aquinas Hanover, obviously a player. You're a fan of that one. Mm-hmm. Johnny Rawless will go that direction. And then Storm Shadow. So another Storm Shadow supporter
I love the way
here.
he worded it.
Easier opposition. That's exactly what that is. And we're hoping it means a trip back to the winner's circle here at Mohawk Park. Good luck to them and all their handicap. We'll have their thoughts throughout the night. And we have got race number 1 with our $75,000 guaranteed early pick 5 getting underway here very shortly. We'll be back to set things up here soon.